WEEK.com with the May 23rd WWE Raw Wrestlers of the Week, and of course we're coming off of the Over the Limit pay-per-view which took place this past Sunday. I'm going to jump right in with our number 3 Wrestler of the Week, and that's going to go to Alex Riley, who didn't actually compete in a match during this evening's episode. However, he did make quite a statement against who would now be considered his former employer, The Miz. The Miz, of course, failed in his bid to win the WWE Championship at Over the Limit against John Cena in their I Quit match, despite controlling a good portion of the match, at least early on, thanks to teaming up with Riley to essentially go 2-on-1 against him and really beat down Cena during that portion of the match. But when they tried to get cute and go with that whole Rock Mankind Royal Rumble scheme, where they went ahead and played a pre-recorded I Quit from John Cena, the referee found out, restarted the match, and The Miz was basically done from there as John Cena managed to rally back and force him to say I quit toward the end. So, in failing to go ahead and recapture the WWE title, The Miz came down to the ring on Raw with Riley, and essentially made the whole thing Riley's fault. He berated Riley the whole time, went ahead and got physical with him a little bit, and when he asked Riley for an explanation as to what went on, as to why he's constantly costing him the WWE title, Riley went back at him by saying, well, I wasn't the one that said I quit. So that didn't make The Miz happy. He got even more frustrated and even got, again, a little physical with Riley, pushing him inside the ring. And finally, after weeks of taking all of this abuse from Miz, Riley decided that enough was enough, and he whooped him. I mean, he really gave him a pretty nice beating. Over the next few minutes, he took him to the outside, threw him into the barrier, threw him across the announce table, moved him back into the ring, and then beat him down inside there. So Riley finally stood up for himself, got a really good reaction from the crowd as a result of that, and is now basically severed from The Miz. As before that beatdown took place, The Miz essentially fired him from his personal services contract. So even if Miz had not done that, I think after this beating, he would have. So Riley, for finally standing up for himself, giving a good beating to The Miz, and getting a really nice reaction from the crowd that will hopefully keep him on Raw for a short-term period of time to maybe have one really good match with The Miz, because of course Riley is a SmackDown exclusive superstar as a result of the draft that took place a few weeks back. But hopefully he can hang on Monday nights for just a little bit to maybe get 1 or 2 really good matches in with The Miz to maybe make a little mini feud out of that, if you will. So, Riley standing up for himself comes in at number 3. And number 2, we have new WWE Tag Team Champions, and those go to the Nexus members, David Otunga and Michael McGillicuddy. Of course, their fearless leader, CM Punk and Mason Ryan, were unable to defeat Kane and The Big Show at the Over the Limit pay-per-view to capture those titles. Big Show and Kane successful in retaining the gold. However, Kane and the Big Show had to go and put the titles on the line the next evening on Raw against the other Nexus members, Otunga and McGillicuddy. And of course, where those two go, Punk and Mason Ryan are sure to follow. And those two actually hung out at the announce table doing guest commentary during the match until CM Punk decided to get involved. And when it looked like the Big Show was well on his way to putting Otunga and McGillicuddy away, Punk left the announce table, gave a kick from the ring apron to the back of the Big Show, and McGillicuddy and Otunga were able to capitalize from there, putting Big Show down to the mat and covering to score the pinfall and bring the WWE Tag Team Championships to their camp with the Nexus. So they did have to get an assist from CM Punk, and Mason Ryan, of course, is there as well. However, Otunga and McGillicuddy just basically followed the Nexus's way of playing by the numbers, essentially. And as a result, for scoring those tag team titles and going ahead and putting them around their waist, they come in at our number 2 Wrestlers of the Week. And coming in at number 1 is going to be our WWE Champion, John Cena, who again was able to retain the gold at the Over the Limit pay-per-view after suffering a pretty severe beating early on from both Miz and Riley, as it essentially turned into a handicap match at that point. But when Miz and Riley tried to get cute and play that pre-recorded I Quit from him, he was able to rally back and eventually get Miz into that STF to score the I Quit finish. So John Cena retained the gold, but instantly came into Raw with another little problem to deal with. To open the show, Jerry the King Lawler actually came out from the back and introduced somebody who helped him to actually get Michael Cole to kiss his foot after he won his match last night and at the Over the Limit pay-per-view, and that was, of course, Bret the Hitman Hart, who makes some appearances now and again for the WWE after his WrestleMania involvement last year. He actually came down, opened up the show, was excited to be back on Raw, and was interrupted by R-Truth, who, of course, does not have the greatest mindset at this point. And in interrupting Bret Hart, he did so to try and figure out why he wasn't getting his shot at the WWE Championship. R-Truth tried to play around a little bit, took the Bret Hart sunglasses and put them on a kid at the ringside area to see if maybe that would help him get a title shot, and it didn't. So he basically narrowed it down to the fact that maybe to further push him into that main event scene, he would need to attack a Hall of Famer. Bret Hart wasn't backing down one bit. He said, you want to take a shot, but the reason that he received so many WWE title opportunities was because, of course, he is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. As far as R-Truth is concerned, he's been a lunatic as of late. So before things can really get nasty in that regard, John Cena came down and basically explained to R-Truth that he's been a little busy as of late. However, he has a little bit of time now. And if R-Truth really wants to do this, they can do this. Before they could come to blows, however, the anonymous Raw general manager chimed in and decided to schedule a tag team main event bout that would team John Cena up with Rey Mysterio to face the duo of R-Truth and CM Punk. And just to add a little bit of flavor to that match, Bret the Hitman Hart was named the special guest referee. So that was a pretty interesting tag team main event to set up, and it was actually a really good match. Bret Hart played a little bit more of a role than just special guest referee, as because R-Truth and CM Punk constantly went at him during the match, he decided to get a little involved at the end by going ahead and actually knocking CM Punk down to the mat, slapping a sharpshooter on him, and while Bret Hart had the sharpshooter on Punk, Rey Mysterio came in with a springboard leg drop that was good enough to go ahead and allow Bret to count for the 3 count to award John Cena and Rey Mysterio that tag team main event victory. So John Cena, of course, playing a role in that main event. He didn't score the pinfall, but he did play a role in allowing Rey Mysterio to get alone with Punk, and of course Bret Hart in the ring there as well. And, being on the winning team, John Cena was able to go ahead and get another victory under his belt, just to follow up his WWE title retention from Over the Limit. And of course, at this point, we don't exactly know where John Cena is headed. Maybe he's headed toward a feud with R-Truth or CM Punk. There were a lot of rumors that Alberto Del Rio was going to be next in line, but Del Rio, going back to our number 2 wrestler of the week just for a little bit, is probably going to be involved with the Big Show after, essentially, his ring announcer ran the Big Show over after they lost the tag team championships. So Alberto Del Rio may be out of that discussion for the time being, but where John Cena goes from here, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But he is still WWE champion for now, and coming in at our number 1 wrestler of the week.